I can't wear that just because a lot of other people aren't real about their stuff, you know? And I'm not asking people to be as honest or vulnerable as me, but at the same time, I don't want to get mistreated because of, you know, just somebody else's opinion of me. So that's been rough, man. That was what I meant by the blacklist treatment. Leaving Collision was difficult. I still love those guys, every single one of them, and they know it. But when I left for business reasons, I was treated as a suspect of like heavy moral failure, and that was really hurtful.
Let's get the people what they want. The Wade-O Radio Show.
With so much of this that you've been going through and been dealing with, even since School of Roses and on through, how are you able to like still produce content and music and all of that? I know there's always the authenticity. But I've seen a lot of people just shut down.
I can't.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was built for this. It's not easy because one of the biggest things I faced from kind of being blacklisted was I was losing money. You know what I'm saying?
That compounds everything.
Yeah. I was supposed to be on tour with one of the bigger artists, and you know, they told me like, yeah, man, somebody told me basically not to mess with you, and that turned into like a at least probably a 30-city tour down the drain. And I mean, practically that's money. So like, as much as this,
so when you got that planned, you're not taking other shows during that time period.
You cut them off.
Yeah.
You actually build a plan around that. That's an artist's job is to make music, to tour.
Right.
And then, you know, the rest is kind of supposed to kind of fall on the label. Actually, a lot of it should all kind of work together. So I don't know, man. Only sometimes, and I say this to you, and I know you'll know what I mean by this. So if people ask questions, not only can they get it from you, from me, but you can also tell them, you know, when you talk to them. Mm-hmm. This is like, we're trying to operate as Christians, but this is the music business.
It is the business, bro.
It is the music business. And there are certain things that are handled, and no matter how much God you want to put on it, it's handled like a music business thing. Like, it's the industry. The entertainment industry is what it is. And there's still contracts we got to sign. You know what I'm saying? There's still things that we have to, you know, live up to. And my point is this. Sometimes that stuff, I found it getting convoluted in my time. Not only, you know, whether it was with Collision or whether it was with RCA, there's kind of this expectation that you're supposed to just kind of let certain things fly because we're Christians. And I'm like, yo, but this is the music business though, too. Sure. For instance, I remember leaving, and if indeed, you know, it was like an implied moral failure. And when I say implied, I just really mean like I wasn't giving all my business. I would like to protect my family. You know, my stuff, my mistakes, yeah, we can go public, sure. If anybody wants to put the spotlight on Christon Gray, and if it's something I haven't already admitted to in my music or interviews, please do so, but not my family.
Sure.
You know, that's something I need to protect. So with that being the case, like, when that stuff happens, you suffer for it, you know? So I don't know. To answer your question, I think that I never saw this as a means to quit. What stopped me probably over the past year or so was trying to figure out how I was going to pay rent. I put out a project with Taelor, Jacob, and Judas, and shout out to my brother because we put that project out so I could make money.
Wow.
That was the reason.
Wow.
And I couldn't put my name on it because I was still signed. So I had to help my brother put an album out via Pledge Music, which B. Wright got me hip to, so I could make my rent.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of finagling, but yeah, like, and you know how it is, bro.
I feel real good.
Nobody want to come out on an interview and say that, like, yeah,
hey, man.
But it's real.
It's 100, and I think there's a whole lot of moves that get made in the music industry so somebody can pay rent, bro.
Well,
don't say it.
Well, that's real. You know, for me coming off of, like, a lot of the things that I went through were in secret. It's not like I just was like, oh, it's time to go through a divorce. I'm gonna act like nothing happened. Let's go do shows. Let's go make music. No, like, I had to go through a long grieving process. I made a lot of mistakes. There was a big thing that happened in January in my show in London. And it kind of made some filtering news. There was a photo that showed up on Instagram. Somebody had posted of me and another young lady. And at the time, like, when I saw that stuff starting to surface, it was right after I got done with my show. The promoter was just like, he was like, I got you. Whatever happens, I got you. Because I had told him that I was going through the divorce. I just hadn't made it public knowledge. And all I saw was somebody just put me on display with this young lady, literally tearing me apart. I don't know how many fans saw that, but I know there was people on the insides that saw it because I heard about it. Wow. And you just go through a drama. You know, everybody kind of has, they're looking for a scandal. It makes for a great story. It makes for great content in the music. But wait, man, you done heard me making music. You've heard the little drafts here and there. You've heard like me trying so hard not to throw shots and probably thinking like, man, how much longer is this gonna go on? Yeah. But bro, like, compared to the amount of content that I wanted to share, man, that was nothing, bro. Because people sometimes they don't take seriously that this is your life. This is not some cute, you know, Christian posture that I'm going to take to make everybody feel good. No, this is the same stuff you've been hearing in my music since Lovesick. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I think, you know, last thing I can say about it is, just because it's a long, drawn-out journey doesn't mean that there's ever any portion of my struggle that I've gone through where I was glorifying sin. Ever. I don't care if I go through the same thing till I die. You're going to hear a war. I started, my first project as an independent artist was called Even With Evil With Me. Right. You know what I mean? Right. People love to talk about how much they respect Paul. He's like he's kind of like Jesus 2.0 to some people. Like, he's the Superman, right? And I get it. I really do. But Paul was talking about, because of the revelations that he was given, he was also given not only a thorn in his flesh, but a messenger of Satan to buffet him. And I don't know, you don't hear people talking about that in their music. I know what that's like. I literally know what it's like to deal with evil spirits, to become accustomed to what it's like to do things with the wrong motive because of pain. Like, I discovered my ego because I got hurt. This is just as much as real life as anything else that we try to say. But I speak currently. I said that on Sway. Yeah. I don't write about stuff from 10 years ago, bro. Yeah. Like, I'm giving a soundtrack to my journey from faith to faith, from glory to glory, and getting sunned for it. Yeah. So I've gotten over that like a long time ago. But us talking about it publicly is the first time I've ever been able to really share anything about that.
I feel like a lot of, like, even just that concept of sharing what you're going through publicly, the Christian music industry has never really
bro. They still don't do well with this, I was just talking to SO and Deuce about the Bono interview that he did with was it Eugene? Is it Peterson? I always get his name. He's the guy who wrote the Message translation of the Bible. Okay. And Bono from YouTube. Peterson. He went to go meet with him. They got a whole documentary series on it. And Bono is asking this, theologian, hey man, how come like Christians are honest in their music? Wow. He's like, man, I'm skeptical. He's trying to convey things he feels. Wow. And because he read the Message translation, he was telling how much he personally respects that translation, because it breaks it down in a way he can understand. Not just understand like scriptures about how we're supposed to live, like understand like the book of Amos or understand Exodus, like in a way where it's not, we avoid it. But his point was this: when I'm reading the Psalms, like I'm reading certain things that are breaking down how I feel. How come I can't find this in the music? How come they don't talk about bad marriages in Christian music? How come they don't talk about how we feel about the government in Christian music? Like, we are the only place that shies away from some of the truths, except for probably more recently in hip hop, like racism, which has been existing way before we decided to join the conversation. Let's be honest, Wade, that was happening because some cast was excited to see Kendrick, and then they just wanted to join the party. And that's just real. Like, bro, I have done things as well, so I'm not exempt. But if we're gonna call a spade, it's not just me being vulnerable about my truth, but people are being damaged because of multiple things that are being hidden in the faith.
Yeah.
And we gotta find a better way to deal with that.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
And I love Kendrick, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, all of a sudden, I started seeing this like woke movement out of nowhere. And no shout to the guys like Prop or even like people like Show. Like, I feel like Show kind of like was the originator.
Hey, bro, Show was conscious.
Show was conscious. Show was conscious. Like with no.
Then the
with
slang
no,
became
with no,
woke. So you know what I mean. But
then I'm like, wait a second though. How long are we going to talk about this racial injustice issue within the community of Christian hip hop without any kind of solution that points to Jesus or anything that speaks to love, when a lot of these artists, and me included, we got a lot of white fans?
Well, so here's the thing. I get some tweets about this. Some of the white fans, they take this as division because they don't fully understand it or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, if all we're doing is just saying, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, and never pointing it back to the solution, it's going to look like division.
Listen, man, people can tell me what I do and don't know. You know what I mean? Like some books that I haven't read, some history maybe I just have avoided. But I'm a black man.
Yeah.
And I struggle as a black man.
Sure.
I wrote a song called Black Male, really conveying not only the difficulty of being a black man, but using a story and written in the most extreme example that you could possibly hypotheticalize. That's not even a word, but it is on this show. It is. A hypothetical situation of a black man who's in love with a white woman. Imagine this. And they have two different realities. So when she wants to buy the big house in the big neighborhood and he can't, that's normal to her.
Sure.
But he can't afford that. He barely had enough money to buy that ring. I know that feeling of being a black man. When we get pulled over, she's trying to defend her dude to the cops, right? Like, nah, don't pull him. And we don't even respond, right? Because we know what it is. I know that pain. But what's my job? To go be hostile towards a bunch of white people that's buying my music?
Yeah.
Why? And how long are we going to stay on that? It's one thing to express frustration. It's another thing to let your anger turn into sin and try to justify it and turn it into some kind of righteous indignation. Jesus didn't do that, man. He took more beatings than we could ever take. He was a victim of racism.
Yeah.
And so I just think that we have to find a better way to deal with real life issues. You know, it's not to discount anybody's take or perspective on it, but bro, we are dealing with hostility like never seen before in the body of Christ.
See, I think
hypotheticalize.
I think everything we've been talking about here, though, a lot of it is fueled by the business of the Christian music industry.
Self-preservation.
Bro, so we want to be safe. We want to be safe.
Yeah, but we want to be safe and edgy at the same time. Like, we want to pick and choose when we want to, like, join the narrative. Sure. And then we want to be like, but this is going to mess up my sales. So it's like, nah.
Yeah, let me fall back.
No, man, if you going to go stand for something, stand for something. Like, for real.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. I understand it, because like me, people have to be considerate of their personal lives. And things can be career suicide. Honestly, just from if you're not practical with your strategy, it might not be the right time, might not be the right move, but this is a calling for me, bro. Mm. I think according to some of the hidden rules of some of the crew, some of the hidden doctrine, if you will, behind this thing that we call CHH, which I think if without people like you, without a select few people that I've met in the business, artists like SO, like Who Keep It Real, people like Manny, you know what I'm saying? Like people that I've gotten a chance to work with closely, and I could just name drop, but I don't even think about the space that much anymore because I'm gone from it. Bro, without that, like this would have been dead a long time ago. And you know that in your heart. Yeah. It just took somebody actually being bold enough to sacrifice positioning in order to actually tell the truth. And that's what we've needed, bro. I just hate that we have to be oppressed by our own while we do it.
It's crazy.
But it will get better.
It's crazy.
And I'm going to say this. This is the first time in my life. I was telling Shabby this. This is the first time in my life where I've ever understood what David meant when he would pray for his enemies to fall. I've never prayed prayers like that.
Sure.
I've never even felt, I'm even scared talking about it. But it's one thing to offend me.
Yeah.
It's one thing to make me upset. But when you offend God, I got to do what he tells me to do. And being honest about my experiences in my life, if it hurts somebody's career, but saves somebody's soul, sorry, bro. I'm not going to mention no names, but you know what it is.
I feel you, bro. Where does your career go from here? Because you mentioned something in passing.
You be asking questions.
No, but
I'm
just saying, bro.
You be asking questions. I'll be like, man, am I saying too much? And then I remember he asked questions like this. Where does your career go from here? You want me to say that in 140 characters? That's a big question, Wade.
I know, bro.
This is a 2-part interview.
I know, bro. But because we talked about you leaving 2 labels, bro. Like this is. Let me put it to you like this, bro.
I got you. I got an answer for you.
This is a green room question. This is a green room, like, when you at shows and dudes is like, what's going on with Christon Gray? He left another, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, I know that there's people behind the scenes who ask those questions,
sure,
and they'll never ask me to my face.
Of course not.
I know that there's people.
Of course not.
I know that there's people who see my music come out
Yeah.
and they act like they never heard it. I know that there's people who watch everything that I do and don't acknowledge me. They won't retweet it or anything. I ain't do nothing. You know what I mean? Except anyway, I'm not gonna complain no more. You got me Dr. Feeling over here.
Nah, man.
Dr. Feelings. Bars. Dr. Feels. My bad. Here's the thing, Wade. Like, honestly, even though it's been a battle, I think it's toughened my skin for real. When I first came into this space, it wasn't because I was just some, like, you know, new fanboy of all of the current artists who were out. I wasn't just a big, you know, oh, I want to be like Lecrae, or oh, I want to just like join Collision with Swoop. Oh, I just like this stuff and this platform. Nah, man, I was talking to Deuce about how I'm watching the second go round of battles within CHH, because I was there when Cross Movement and Tunnel Rats was battling each other, and then it all went to dust. I was there when G. Craig came on the scene. I was there before John Rubin's from Columbus, Ohio. You know what it is.
Oh yeah.
I was watching this stuff from behind the scenes. I just didn't have it. I didn't have the silver spoon.
Sure.
So here's the deal. Now I'm at a point where I'm watching this story unfold that God is telling. Even though my last album wasn't marketed at all, not poorly marketed, it wasn't marketed at all.
Yeah.
Even though that happened, God gave me the biggest song of my career.
That's crazy. Ain't that crazy?
Bro, there's no reason
in the world.
Sense.
It makes no sense, bro. It makes no sense.
Because, I mean, we watching the same thing. You know, you kind of want it for each other. Because it's like, not only do you know that I'm trying to do something, you know that I recognize you. Yeah. And I'm going to be like, hey, let's go. But then when it don't work out, it's just like, we lost. Yeah. So we go from Super Bowl placements to School of Roses popping off, and it's like, man, we got something going, and then that goes to, you know, the dust, and then it's like, oh, but now I'm with Kirk, like, let's go, and then that goes to dust. But bro, Honda, ESPN, the ESPY Awards, bro, Ballers, HBO, Lethal Weapon, bro, like, there's more. I forgot, and this is happening because God said so. I think this is the very embodiment of what Christian music should be, a full reliance on God and an honest journey. You know what I mean? An honest expression of the journey that goes from faith to faith.
I've known you a good little time now, bro.
Yeah.
I've never seen you feel this free, bro. Like, I think there's always been a freedom, but it's almost like there was like a monkey or 3 on your back. And
you know what it is, man.
You're just...
I wasn't allowed to be myself, bro. Like, you never want to implicate anybody. And even through all of this I'm saying, I'm not implicating anybody. I'm not even telling you anything that happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you it happened.
Sure.
And fans at this point just want to know. I'm not about to be like, oh, you know, I was just going through some life stuff. There's only so many times you can say that and then make the type of music I make.
Sure.
But, bro, it is liberating. And I've had to go through a lot of things because of mistakes that I made. Can't blame it on anybody else. It was stuff that I had to own up to in my marriage, in my relationships, friendships, in the way that I treated people, the way that I talk to people. Like, I haven't always had the couth. I haven't always made the right decisions. I have a big heart. I've been a people pleaser. We talked about that in our last Skype interview. And when you called me a womanizer, you remember that?
I called you a womanizer.
Go watch the tape, bro.
Bro, I called you.
You was like, hey, man, so like, you know, what's it like, man? What you going through? Because it's like post, like, School of Roses. You was like, so like, you asked, was I a womanizer in the past? And I was like, dang, a womanizer? I'm only like 27, bro. Like, the past, like, that's another thing I've told people.
That's harsh. That's harsh.
But I've told people.
I'm sorry, man. I owe you. No.
Stop, bro.
I'm just saying.
Wait, bro, it's you.
I feel you,
I've told people more so in mainstream settings, mainstream interviews, stuff like that, that I was learning a lot about myself during my 20s, but in front of everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, like, we live as kings. I love the crew, but I was the odd man out. You know what I'm saying? I was the singer guy. I was the one who stood up and did Long Way Down in front of everybody. And then, like, you know, forget about girls screaming and stuff like that. It was like, yo, like, why would I want to stay at this level and be in this space when I do something that is not hip hop all the time? Yeah. You know what I mean? And there was no space for it. Yeah. We was trying. We was trying to create some stuff, but where my career goes from here, you saw that the last album or the last song that we released came out on a website called All the More. And I'm going to shift even the gears of how I speak, because through all of that muck and mire that I'm allowing myself to relive for this interview, out of it came love, not hatred. And I saw your tweet recently about how when you don't deal with anger, what was it? It turned, because that was a bond, bro.
Can I remember it?
Just go check out.
No. Unresolved anger leads to resentment. Unresolved resentment leads to hate.
Yeah, man.
So you got to deal with anger. You got to deal anger in the blood. And
it's okay to be angry.
It festers.
Bro, I was at Catalyst, right? And Catalyst is all white people.
Yeah.
And I went up there, and somebody had just spoke before I played, and he was a black dude, like, trying to give, like, this whole, like, you know, he did a great job on his message, the racial talk. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be, like, nice. We never gonna be able to stop doing that. We always think about who watching. But he started off with this thing where he said, you know, I'm not the angry black dude here, and then, like, everybody kind of laughed.
Sure.
And I was with Taelor, and I asked Taelor how he felt about that. He was not laughing.
Wow.
You know, Taelor pastors one of Francis Chan's church plants in Columbus.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he's a pastor of an all-white church.
Sure.
But Taelor don't play that. He embraces who he is.
Sure.
So I saw that reaction from my brother, and I was like, this was my woke moment, right? I get up on the stage and I sit on the piano and first I do Stop Me, then I do Nowhere, and I sit down and play Blackmail at an all-white conference. About 15,000 people and 100,000 watching online. And I sat down, bro, in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wow.
And when I got to that song, I said, you know, this next song I'm gonna do is called Blackmail. And it's a double meaning. It's I'm a black male, and everybody laughed. I said, and it's also how sometimes we create our own stereotypes. And I said, before I go any further, I want to tell you that I'm not apologizing for being an angry black man. It's what we do with that anger that changes the whole discussion. It's okay to be angry.
That's good, bro. That's good.
You know what I mean? But your anger doesn't have to turn into you know, racial hostility. Sure. Your anger doesn't have to turn into overeating. Yep. Your anger doesn't have to turn into sliding in your DMs every day. Yep. You know what I mean? Your anger doesn't have to turn into disrespecting people the way you talk. And I've had to learn some of those lessons live and direct. Yeah. But I was learning them in School of Roses.
Yo, you mentioned this, man. I just want to say this, bro. I'm very thankful that a lot of the lessons I learned in my 20s
wasn't on wax,
bro. Not just wasn't on wax, but you know, I'm a little older than you, so social media wasn't what it was.
Yeah.
Like my later 20s.
You mean there wasn't no DMs?
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like we were still functioning with MySpace at that point.
Hey man, anybody out there, you know, for the fans that can look and be like, yo, you wilding out. Like there's enough people. I've seen people's marriages be transformed because of the honesty that I, you know, while I was suffering, while I was making mistakes that was damaging mine, the honesty about that was helping other people.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And this whole concept of all or more, like literally means all love. But we didn't want to just say all love, like, because that's kind of like, can be like, you can blow that off. Yeah, it's all love. We all say that even when it's not. But all or more is like, yo, this is rich.
Yep.
The French word for love.
Yep.
We mean it. Like, bro, I'll give you a hug when I see you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love you, bro. Like, you ain't got to ever worry about it. And I think that's what God wants.
Yeah.
He wants, out of all of this stuff that I've gone through, for everything, anybody that I run into, anybody who did me wrong in the past, anybody who mistreated me, tore me apart, excommunicated me, banished me, tried to destroy my family, literally, like, what played a part in the destruction of my family, played a part in the destruction of a lot of things, even before me and after me, and now everything that we see. The only thing that's going to solve it is the love of Jesus Christ.
That's it, bro.
So I see my career going in a way of success, because this message that I have always given is one that glorifies God, not Chris.
But see, here's the thing, bro. And I'm reading between the lines of what you're saying and where you are, bro. You have a different definition of success than probably what you've ever had before, bro. Because you're at a different point of peace, bro.
Yeah, I used to want either something in my personal life to compensate for something that I wasn't getting in my career,
Sure.
or something in my career to compensate for something I wasn't getting in my personal life.
Sure.
And you saw that battle, because I couldn't explain it. But God asked me a question. He told me two things, one of which I didn't plan on saying, but I'm going to say it. The first one was this. He asked me two questions the other day. It was right before we put the song out.
Yeah.
I woke up and I wanted to just like get into the phone and like just check on everything, see what's going on, the pressures, the anxieties, like, you know, just Shabby, what we gonna do next? You know, we ain't got no marketing team, we ain't got no budget. We put this song out, me and Shabby, no budget, $0, a full-blown video promo, a full-blown website, a full-blown song, mixed and mastered, great. Radio people have it already, like loving it. Sway wants to possibly debut it on his show. Like this is with $0, bro. And I'm just in the thick of it thinking, what can I do? And God asked me, he said, do you want everything? Do you want all the things that you've worked for? Do you want all the things that you deserve or feel that you deserve? Do you want all the things that you desire, or do you want more of me?
Wow.
And I said, I want more of you. And then he said, okay, well, let's spend some time together. Sat down, and he spoke to me directly, told me 6 things that he wants me to do. I won't say all of them, but one of them was this, and I did it today. I text Andy Mineo, because I talked to him on Wednesday. I heard his freestyle, the Honest to God joint. Heard it, and I hit him up, texted him like, yo, he didn't have my number. So that was my way of giving it to him.
I got you.
And he hit me up. We talked for about 15 minutes, and God told me to tell him that he's next, and he's going to be used to shatter racism in the church.
Wow.
But when God will speak to you, but he'll ask you a question first.
Sure.
He won't force you to do nothing.
Sure.
But he literally took something that we came up with, the all or more thing, and people are thinking we're saying all or more. And he gave it a whole new meaning. Do you want all of these things that I promised I would add if you seek me first? Or do you want me?
But see, this is the thing about you, bro. I think you're so creative, this happens by accident sometimes.
It does, bro. It's like, it's really my life, dog.
You have so much stuff that's like a double meaning, bro. I was talking to another artist about this last week at a show, right? And he was just like, yo, and this dude is a great songwriter. Yeah. Like, writes for everybody, right? Yeah. And he was just like, bro, he's like, when I listen to Christon stuff, he was just like, everything has like a double meaning. He's like, I listen to it 20 times and I'll get like 20 different things.
You know, there's a book. Oh, I can't tell.
That's why I thought it was interesting when you and Jay Givens got together. Because it's like his mind thinks the same way.
Yo, I'm going to tell you this, man. I don't know if Jay ever going to revisit that album, but it was a problem. But Jay has a set of personal sins, right?
Of
Just
course.
like anybody else
Of course.
that aren't discoverable by some people or even acceptable, right? Like, him talking about a drug addiction,
Sure.
that's cute and everything
Yeah.
when you hear it on a record.
Yeah.
But bro, that's real.
It's real.
Like,
It's real.
I've been through it with him.
It's real.
And we worked through that. But bro, like the stuff that we were starting to create was like groundbreaking. And when you are doing that to glorify God, Satan's gonna fight you.
Sure.
Sometimes God will stop you if you're doing it for yourself too. And I've learned both. That's why I wrote that record. And Lord, if I'm doing it wrong, then please stop me. And He will.
Wow. That's deep.
So even though I feel like, Wade, like I've been humbled, you know what it's like to be humbled. But ain't no man, and I look in the camera and say this, there's no person in this space or in the mainstream space that will ever stop what God is doing with Christon Gray.
Amen.
Ever.
Amen.
Just like He won't,
Amen.
there's nobody who can stop what you're doing because we're not doing it for ourselves.
Bro, if God got it for you, bro, He got it for
And
you.
I dare somebody to try. I mean, I've never written a diss record. I probably won't because it would be a problem.
It would be a problem.
And everybody knows it would be a problem.
It would be a
Wade.
problem.
Everybody
It would be a
knows it.
problem.
Everybody knows it.
And I know a smidget, it would be a problem.
I mean, you heard Revival of the Realist,
I know, bro. I'm just saying, it would be a problem, bro. It
but
would be a problem.
I think it's time for us to see a little bit of the real life drama. We ain't got to glorify it.
Sure.
It don't got to turn into, big beef sessions and back and forth and stuff because honestly, people look into this space and it's still very small. So people don't even know what the heck we're talking about. And we think that we just proved the point and people are like, who's Lecrae?
Yeah.
Who's Shylin? Who's Christon Gray?
Sure.
Who's Wade?
Sure.
Like in the
Absolutely.
real world, bro.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
wait, ain't nobody here pulling money like Drake and Kanye, bro. Like they out here really killing it. We trying to make a point. Let's work together.
Yeah. What do you think about this recent situation? I don't even know what you call it.
Which one? You mean like the
Shylin, Ruslan, Hazakim?
Well, I honestly, it's funny. The only thing I had seen when I was putting my YouTube video up for the no hesitation thing,
sure.
like I saw on the side like some other CHH stuff pop up, and I saw Hazakim's response first.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I was like, dang. Like I just
told Esso that people are coming into this at different points.
Yo, that's
Some
not the
people
point
are
that you want to come in on. Like, I'm like, I mean, first of all,
They took the song down though. They took the song down.
But you know what? I mean, as
was
rappers, I come from a battle rap era.
Sure.
That's where I come from.
Sure.
And so I was just kind of listening, like, dang man, that's great. Oh, dang. But then obviously I'm thinking in my mind like, really, bro? Like you gonna ruin somebody's life?
Yeah.
So I mean, Hazakim, I met them. They'll never remember. But I met them in Columbus, Ohio. I think they used to rock there for a little bit. Or
I was going to say, bro.
Yeah,
I feel like they're
they
from there. I think they're actually from.
I feel like
Columbus,
they
bro.
went to a church called Beth Messiah, which was up in Gahanna.
Wow.
And
okay.
real talk, like between me and you, my dad, when he first started his church, the second building we moved in, I think was their old church.
Wow. Okay. Small world, bro.
First of all, you know how it is, bro.
That's crazy.
But anyway, I talked to Deuce. SO was asking Deuce his take on all of this, and we got some good context because Deuce, the ambassador, he's been around, and he comes from the same. From the same, not only era, but the same school of thought in a lot of ways as Shylin.
Definitely.
So he was able to not only defend, but explain where he was probably coming from. And, man, it's real life out here, man. Like, if people going to listen to this music and if we're going to start getting into it, like, the truth will come out. The way people feel should come out. Sure. I don't know what will happen as a result of it, but you've heard me say several times on several occasions that I think that CHH is dead. I think it's been dead for a few years, and I think that we're just trying to realize that now, starting to realize that. And it's less about trying to preserve a genre. Now it's about what are we going to do next after we get done with this explosion that everybody's been watching happen for 5 years. And I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying it. I'm saying I've watched this go downhill since I got in the game. Now it's about what can we learn from it? My marriage is over. What can I learn from it?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not always about preserving something, even if it's yourself. Sometimes it's about thanking God that you're still allowed to do anything and moving on and growing from it.
Yeah. I think that's real, bro. Chris, man. Brother, listen.
Ask me all these real questions.
Hey, man. Hey, you told me to ask you the real questions.
No holds bar. Shabby said he wants a no holds bar with you as well.
Oh, my God. I can't imagine.
He was inviting. Yo, man, I said it on the website.
I might have to come up to Toronto, bro. That's what may need to happen, man. I may need to come up to Toronto.
You come up to Toronto, you might stay up there, man. Your boy's up there.
Ant's
that's the
there,
homie.
bro.
I work with Ant now. He told you?
Ant's a good dude, bro.
He is, man.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, that's how I knew he was good people, because he said he used to work with you.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, man? Ant was my very first intern, like for real. Like this dude was like, yo, he's like, I love what you're doing. I want to come work with you. I'm like, I do all of this out of my house. Like,
is it 1T Countdown?
Yeah.
Shout out to 1T Countdown, the homie
show,
Ant, man. Like
he came in, and it's interesting. Like he was a part of the ministry for a really long time, and I could always feel the Lord was calling him to bigger and better stuff than just what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was like he had such a passion for Toronto, bro, and the whole Canada, really, you know. And he started his show. Like, I'm getting ready to promote these Canadian artists up here, man. You know?
Yo, he's got a genuine heart, bro.
Genuine.
And you and your whole crew, man.
Genuine,
everybody
bro.
that you've always rocked with.
Genuine.
Have been consistent and genuine.
Bro.
And look,
Thank you, man.
we ain't perfect, bro.
None of us are, bro.
But he is.
Facts.
And we belong to him. So
Facts.
let's keep it moving, man.
My brother.
On the Way to Radio Show.
Way to Radio.